This episode is sponsored by Property Filter. Find great deals faster.
Hello and welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast, sponsored by us at Property Portfolio Building. This podcast is designed by real people on their journey to achieving financial freedom, and we'll focus on people who've either already attained it, who are joining us on that journey, or maybe a specialist topic that can help you build your technical knowledge to achieving and maintaining that financial freedom. We hope you enjoy it. Welcome back to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Today, we've got one of our 6 rounds with episodes where we're interviewing somebody who has either already obtained or is on the journey to obtaining their financial freedom. Today, we're welcoming a friend, former colleague, and indeed boss of mine, who, after scraping through school, bottom of his class at uni, a conversation with his dad that changed his life, fell into recruitment, similar to every recruitment consultant I've ever met. Nobody chooses it at A-level, I don't think. And then after working for 2 years in Manchester as a recruitment consultant, moved to London where he actually built his career up from recruitment consultant to CEO of a major player in the recruitment space. After a move back north, he became a dad to twins and is now an advisor and investor across different businesses. So I'd like to warmly welcome Andrew Thorpe, aka Thorpe, to the show. Welcome, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
We can refer to you as Thorpe on this episode, can't we? Because I take no offense to Thorpe. Good stuff. I've been called Andrew there for a second. I've been called worse. Is that his name?
Yeah. So we're going to crack straight on with the opening question, if that's good. So what I would like to do is just set the scene, and it's just very, very simply, it's tell me your story.
My story. Well, thank you for the intro. My story. So born and raised in Stockport, which is just near where we help.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
just over there. Yeah.
So for
in the corner, yeah.
It's just south of Manchester. Very normal kind of, I guess middle class upbringing. Me and my brother. Mum was a teacher. Dad worked in a dairy. The occasional holiday, but really good, safe kind of upbringing. Not one that I was appreciative of at the time, but when you look back now and you think, I was very fortunate to have the upbringing that I did. And the story starts at the beginning, I guess, to give you an idea of my journey and where I come from. So I did really well at school up until it mattered.
Yeah.
So when it started to get, my kids aren't watching this, are they?
No.
When it got to GCSEs and exam time, my commitment tended to fall off.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that was?
Just teenage years of
rebellious nature.
I think so. Mum was quite a strict teacher.
Right.
I'll come on to that when we talk about advice later.
It's weird, isn't it, when you're good at it as well? When you know you're good at it, because you must have known as a kid, you're quite good at this school thing if you're doing well, and then all of a sudden exam comes.
Was it rebelling against the system or rebelling against
absolutely not? Absolutely not got a clue.
Yeah,
but I was just more interested in other things than than school, which is just going out with your mates and messing around.
Yeah,
so I didn't get into any trouble. And that sets almost that kind of, the first chapter of my life. So I scraped through my GCSEs. I scraped through my A-levels. I got a D and an E. I got kicked off one. I failed one. But I always wanted to go to university because I really like drinking and seeing live music.
Well, there's no other reason to go back then, right? That was why are you going to uni? Oh, I'd really like to study drinking, actually. And
so I scraped my way into a HND at Nottingham Trent.
Oh, yeah.
To do property.
Great.
Believe it or not.
There you go.
And now the only reason I did property was I've always been interested in money.
Yeah,
I guess not obsessed by it, but always interested in money. And therefore, I always knew that, people that had money had property.
So be interested in money or investing?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
Bit of both. But, it was literally a...
Did you learn some of this from your parents or?
Oh, no, nothing from my parents.
Just self-interest.
I don't really know what it was. I just wanted to do something, something different. So yeah, I went to Nottingham. I came bottom of the class in my first year. And I scraped through. I thought I was going to fail. And it was my dad who said to me, if I fail the course, I've got to give them back all the money that they've supported me with. coming from my mum, I would have understood that because she was the disciplinarian, she was the strict one. My dad was the softer one. And when he said that to me, it really sunk in. And I thought,
He's serious.
That point of reflection of fair point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm failing because it's on me because I'm just not working very hard.
Yeah.
It's $5,000. It's a big chunk of money now, let alone back then.
Yeah.
You know, my parents have had to sacrifice to send me to university, and I'm not working very hard. So, that was a point whereby I, a little bit of a light bulb moment, and I then started to apply myself, and then I started to do quite well. Well, quite like this. So I went on to do to do a degree in valuation surveying, and just missed the first. I was outstanding with. I was quite happy with the 2-1. And then I graduated in 1994. And at that point, the property market was pretty horrendous. And I couldn't get a job. Applied for lots. I had a couple of interviews, never quite landed a proper job. So I applied for just, a load of graduate jobs.
So this is post early 90s recession sort of time, is it?
Yeah, but it wasn't my eyes. So, I got a job in recruitment in Altrincham.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And, the first 3 or 4 months were hideous. Didn't understand what I was doing. I was supposed to be placing chemical process engineers.
Yeah.
Who
I'll
are
probably name the company immediately.
they ended up buying them.
Yeah.
So it's a very small company. But had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know recruitment, didn't know process engineering, didn't know the nuclear industry, the petrochemical industry, the pharmaceutical industry. Nearly walked after 3 or 4 months, but then something clicked and I think I made a placement. Oh, and that fell out. And then I made another placement. And I think that confidence that gave me then made me realize that I'd not been working hard. So I started to work hard. And I think with most things, if you work hard, you get lucky. So I started to get lucky more. I started to work harder because I had the confidence.
Yeah.
And then I did well. So, I put that down to my dad. This is why I think,
that thought of paying him back in your
many years later, you reflect back, don't you? And my biggest motivation is fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was one of the points which I can put my finger on. At the time, I didn't.
Yeah.
Probably 15 years ago, I didn't.
Pretty sure every single recruitment consultant I know that's been successful is driven by the same thought until they reach a level of success. And then...
then it's fear of staying there.
Well, yeah, there is, but then there's an extra exuberance of confidence that seems to come in.
So, I was asked many times, even when I was doing well, what motivates you to keep my job? It's not to buy an Aston Martin or a Ferrari or to go to the Maldives. It was to keep my job. So, after 2 years in South Manchester, myself and my wife decided that we would move to Australia because her parents had just come back from Oz, and we'd had, they were telling us how great it was, and I knew loads of recruiters in Sydney. So the plan was that we'd move to Sydney. A pal of mine I'd worked with in Manchester had moved to London for a bigger recruitment firm who were due to open an office in Sydney. He said, "I'll get you the job," and he introduced me to some of the key people there, and we moved to London with a plan. We'd go from London to Sydney. And after about 12 months, they said to me, "Look, Sydney's never going to happen. We didn't lie to you. It's just not in our plans anymore." Which, you hear a lot, particularly in recruitment.
Yeah.
Or they promise the earth and then they don't deliver. But, I could see exactly why the reasons were. And to be honest, moving from Stockport to London was as big an adventure as moving from Stockport to Sydney. And, we were enjoying London. I was enjoying the business. It wasn't a problem. And then after about another year when I was doing really well, my boss came to me and said, "What we're going to do, I want to give you 3 months off because we know that you wanted to go to Sydney. Why don't you, go to Sydney, do some traveling. We'll still pay you, but it's a bit of a sabbatical. Why don't you do that?"
Wow.
And I went, "It's a bit weird." And I went home and said to my wife, Laura, "I've been offered this, 3 months off sabbatical. I'm not sure I should take it. One,
My desk's going to die.
I've built this desk up.
Yeah.
2, I don't really trust them. Do they want to get rid of me? And 3, I'm quite happy.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go traveling for 3 months?" And Laura was packing.
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, I guess that's a yes." And it was the best thing they ever did because the engagement that I then had with that business,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
and the belief and the belief and the trust was off the charts.
So really effective management there to give you 3 months off to boost.
Exactly. So I didn't go for a year. I didn't go for 6 months. I went for 3 months.
Yeah.
Every recruitment manager that was listening to this has just turned off.
So we went traveling for 3 months, and a quick whistle stop tour around the world, and
Nice.
got married in Vegas on the way back.
Oh, yeah, cool.
All right. Yeah.
So I had 3 months travel.
Was that already in the plan, or were you already in Vegas?
That was
While we're
a bit
here.
of both.
Right, okay, yeah. Nice.
That was a bit of both. And then, then came back. I was super engaged, and, ended up working my way up through the business and collected bits of responsibility in different teams and different offices. So it never seemed like it was a different job, because it was a gradual collection of that responsibility. So I kind of ended up running the business, obviously the same one that you worked for a
So how many years from you starting in that business to you became the CEO, didn't you? How long did that take?
probably about 8 years. But started off as a recruitment consultant, not even a senior consultant. So I started off as a recruiter.
Complete entry level is what you're saying.
I had a couple of years experience.
Yeah.
But
It's funny, recruitment's one of those industries as well as what does senior mean? You just sit
more money.
It means you get a bit of a pay rise, you get the title senior, you do the same thing that you were doing yesterday. There's no
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just expected.
there's no additional responsibility in reality.
To do more of it.
Yeah, just more of it, bigger target.
Higher time.
that's
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So learned a huge amount through the journey. Didn't have many bad days. Enjoyed it. Made some brilliant friends. Developed as a business person, particularly when they sold the business. And a chap called James Kahn, ex-Dragon's Den,
Right, yeah.
came into the business. Spent a couple of years kind of working with him through the recession of 2008. That was interesting times.
It was a tough time just generally, wasn't it?
Oh, of course it was.
Just every pound mad.
And it's in markets like that where you learn, isn't it? So we reshaped the business. We pivoted. We went into new markets. We thought differently. We learned a lot.
Yeah, I remember. You probably don't remember this, but it really affected me. So I was building up a rail engineering desk in the north, and on the Friday, I left my desk, which was getting to a reasonably stable position. And on the Monday, I got an email saying you have to remove all your guys from site because you've lost your license because you didn't renew it. And there was a BD guy.
Probably my fault. Sorry.
No, there was a BD guy, and he was only there like 3 weeks longer. And so on the Monday, we lost our license, so we couldn't do the desk. And then on the Tuesday, I was selling nurses to nursing homes. Because of the pivot of the business and obviously James and DMR's influence on that space.
Well,
that was like literally going onto a nursing job board and then finding anybody that was available and then selling that to just ringing up every nursing home I could find and see who needed nurses and charging them a fee.
Yeah.
I was actually I think I made more in that a short period of time.
Yeah.
Because it was quite transactional than I did in the.
And there's a demand.
Yeah, well, that was a perm, and that was contracts. The contract obviously takes longer to get going, doesn't it? When the perm stuff is just instant fees, but there was very low margin fees. I have to say, it was hard people to deal with. They wouldn't turn up, and it wasn't my most favourite memory of recruitment. I'll be honest.
Well, I was in a construction company at the time.
Yeah,
and literally overnight, half of the projects, the funding just went.
Right.
I was sitting in the office going you're seeing people walk into the meeting rooms with the general manager and HR and stuff, and it's like, all right, they're gone.
Yeah.
That person's gone.
We were sitting in Liverpool Street, and Lehman Brothers were up the road, and RBS headquarters are next door, NatWest, and so it was a really weird feeling.
Yeah.
In and around the pubs and the restaurants, and it was. Yeah. It was interesting. It was interesting times, but we get through it. And me and Lara were looking to start a family, and we always said that if ever we have kids, we'll move back up north. And so she got pregnant with twins. So again, she starts packing, and she didn't even ask me moving back up north. She just started packing. Yeah. So we moved back to the northwest, and at that point, I left the business. I had some shares in the business. I was lucky enough to keep, and the next chapter of my life began, which was, and again, you think about those turning points in your life, the conversations with your dad, having twins, whole life changes.
Yeah.
So suddenly, then I'd worked at that business 13 years, and I'd always probably taken that far more importantly than the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So,
that was your priority, and then it's shit.
Common, isn't it?
So, my family and my relationships had suffered because of that. And now suddenly becoming a dad gave me a different perspective. So I thought right now is an opportunity for me to put the family first and not my career. Because then, I was out of work. I say out of work. I didn't work for 9 months when the kids were born. It was brilliant. So, walking the dog, taking the kids out, can't remember much of it because, we didn't sleep for 9 months. But it was great. And that kind of gave me that perspective of surely I can, I can create a living where I don't have to work from 8 till 6 and I'm consumed 24/7.
Yeah, it's not 8 till 6.
With work and with business. And so that's why I do what I do now, which is, I work as an advisor, as a non-exec director, as a mentor, as a coach to different businesses. And of course, a few years into that, the business that I work for sold. So the shares that I had were capitalized. So a decent chunk of cash. And that's what I've used to invest, which brings me to be sat here with
This is how we know each other.
with you guys now.
Yeah.
We've come full circle, of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So along the way, obviously traveling, stuff, that kind of thing. Any other cool stuff you've done just to top off the story part? Anything you put your finger on? Yeah, that was pretty cool. Being a recruitment leader or just traveling stuff that you've done. Obviously getting married in Vegas must have been pretty cool. But married in Vegas. I remember once, setting a bit of a goal that I always wanted to go parasailing over the Florida Keys. Nice.
And we did that a few years ago with the kids.
Nice.
So
all of you together?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Me and Oliver and Laura and Ruby. So there's been my focus now and my motivation and my drive is it's about travel, it's about holidays, it's about going away, it's about giving the kids the experiences which they're the most well-traveled 13-year-olds I've ever met.
How do you keep them grounded with that? Because there's a bit of there's a relationship between how hard you worked and what you were basically given as a kid, right? And that's generally how it works. So similar backgrounds. So my family, when I left the family environment, they were helping fund my university, but they hadn't had they weren't big on education themselves. The O level and a secretarial course between them. If you know what I mean. So they didn't really have all of the things. So, but it does instill that I want, because one of the things you said before was I don't know why, but in my opinion, it's because you want a little bit more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you and then that fear comes because you start to get that little bit more. And there's a little bit of imposter syndrome that you don't deserve it. And then you get and you continue with the fear that drives you forwards.
Yeah.
So what do you want for your kids, bearing in mind that they're getting probably another level to what you received?
Yeah. So the way that I manage that is that the kids are very well aware of the privileged life that they lead, but they think I'm skint. And as we've come on to with the financial freedom point of view,
is that just because you live within your means,
absolutely,
your budget and things like that? Is that what you mean by that?
There's a budget for stuff.
Yeah.
So can I have this, Dad? Well, you can't because I don't get paid for 4 days.
Yeah.
Can we go here? Well, no, we can't do that this year.
Yeah.
Because this hasn't happened.
By example.
And this hasn't happened. So, there isn't a bottomless pit of cash. And, I really respect money because that's the way I was brought up.
Yeah.
So, even my mum now, God, she's so tight. She'll spend $5,000 on a cruise, but she'll make a bottle of milk last 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So, that's
why she can afford the cruise.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, very, I have a healthy respect for money, which is in the same way that I'm instilling that in the kids, and that you get what you earn. This is all there. As much as my kids don't see me go to work they do 5 or 6 days a month, but they don't see me doing the slog and the hard work. And it's because I've worked 60 hours this week, which means that we can do this. It's look, kids, I've got this money and I've invested this money to do this, which means then we can live this lifestyle. I could walk you to primary school 4 mornings a week.
Yeah.
So it's a different.
It's funny what you put value on, though, isn't it? Because there's certain things that you would value higher than money. Like I'm not going to replace my time to earn more money during that time, because I get to walk my kids to school. I could probably earn money during that time. I'm not going to.
Oh, absolutely.
The value is much higher.
Yeah.
And then there's material possessions as well, which you probably wouldn't value as highly as other things, which, it's because you respect money more. So, my wife's the opposite to me. She'll spend money on frivolous things, and I like we just come back from a reasonably posh holiday, and we went to one of the shops and they were trying to sell me stuff, and I was like, mate, I buy 6 t-shirts in a pack, and it cost me like 40 quid.
But also
she's trying on these £400 jackets.
The other thing with material items as well. So you used to think growing up, if someone's got a really expensive handbag or whatever, they are wealthy, they're rich people.
Yeah.
But most of the figures that come back from these businesses are like 75% of their sales, I think, Louis Vuitton or something, comes from like medium to low income.
It's the want of that.
And that led literally like spending that large.
Oh, I know people that can't afford to spend £1,000 on a coat, spend £1,000 on a coat, and then don't eat for the last 2 weeks of the month. And fair dues, good luck to you. We need people like that in the economy. We need people like that to build up debt on credit cards. That's fine. That's just not me.
Yeah.
And there's
definitely not the ethos of this podcast.
No. There's one thing that always sticks in my mind, which is taught to me as an early age, which was there's nothing that you could own materially that will be important to you in 10 years. So you could buy any material possession today, and in 10 years' time, it'll either be worn through or it won't matter to you. The only things that will matter are the things that pay for your life, which comes down to assets and things like that. So if you want a handbag, great, but what's it going to look like in 10 years, and will it still mean something to you? Probably not. My wife sells me the advantages of Hermes handbags go up in value, and I'm like, well, no, they don't, because you'll use it. If it's in a pristine pack, I'm sure it might, they don't make them anymore, but if you're going to use it, then no, it won't. So, but it's that type of thing really that's always stuck in my mind. And I guess you're waiting for the moment where at some point in your sons, right? It's 2 sons? Son
and daughter.
Son and daughter's lives, where you say to them, right, now's the part where you really have to learn what I learned. So I'm happy to pay for this. If you fail, you pay me back, which will be very interesting.
We do stuff like that.
Yeah. Which will be very cool, because that's the full circle, and it sort of teaches them it's
the value of money. And, I see people in my life that don't respect it and that don't value it. And it's easy come, easy go. And I know how hard it is to make money.
Yep.
And I can see how easy it is to lose money.
Yeah.
I protect it. Yeah. Because I have to protect it, because I don't want to have to go and get a full-time job working for somebody else ever again.
Yeah.
So, I've got to protect that.
So that mindset is what's giving you that element of, freedom you have and the flexibility in your life now. The other question I was going to ask you, obviously, like, you do a lot of these holidays with your family that you plan out, you do your consultancy advisory work. How do you schedule it out? Do you go like at the start of the year, like we're going to book all these holidays and that's what we're going to do? And then you go, all right, I'm going to plan my consultancy work around that? Or how do you generally?
In the first 5 years of the kid's life, it was amazing because they didn't have to go to school.
Yeah.
So we could go on holiday outside.
I know exactly what you mean.
Because outside of
I'm now at that point where Isla's starting and we've done a few months away and stuff like that.
So now it's done for you.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 weeks at Easter, there's a week there's the summer holidays, there's a week in October, and there's Christmas.
True.
Although the value of the fines is less than the discount you get on the the holidays.
I'm the son of a teacher, so even if I take my kids out of school for a day, then she doesn't talk to me.
Right, okay.
I took Oliver to the San Siro to the Inter Milan game.
Yeah.
And the game was on the Sunday night. So he's going to have to come back on Monday night. And the Monday was my birthday as well.
Yeah.
And, my mum's fuming. The kid's a good student. Never get us into trouble. It's one day out.
I know exactly how you feel.
And it's me and him in Milan.
Same challenges with my wife, Amy, because she's a teacher. And I'm
of course. So, we try and avoid it.
Yeah.
Trying to avoid, especially now there's just starting GCSEs. So, they're, it's easy to plan it because it's, so prescribed because of school holidays.
Yeah. I think we'll move on to the next question, but I think you've already shaped what this question probably is going to be a very similar answer to you've already suggested. So we'll touch on it anyway. So the question is obviously this is the Financial Freedom Podcast, and what we find really interesting is everyone's got a different answer to this next question, and some of them are similar, aren't they? But normally there's something in there that sits differently. So the question is, what is financial freedom to you? And where are you on your journey to achieving that?
I think, to me, it's everything. because it's, take the word financial out of that phrase and just think freedom. That's how I feel. You know, I've had jobs before, I've had careers before, you know, as much as I enjoyed them, I had no freedom.
Yeah.
I couldn't do what I wanted to do. So, you know, you just drop financial off that, you know, what does having freedom mean to you? It means everything, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And I feel very lucky, very privileged, very grateful for the freedom that I have, you know. And I'll go for a walk in the park on a Monday morning. Fortunately, we don't have a dog anymore, but you know, when we was walking the dog on a Monday morning, thinking, oh, this is amazing, even in the rain.
Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
What everyone else is doing on a Monday morning, what I used to do on a Monday morning, I can now do exactly as I choose. So it's that point of, you know, we exchange our time for money, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And being in a position where I don't have to,
population.
where I'm in a position where I don't have to do that, the weight that was off my shoulders was quite intense. So yeah, it means everything.
Yeah. It flips, isn't it? Is that time for money versus money for time almost. You know, it's like the reverse, isn't it? Your money's created time for you. But I just go back to, like, you feel very lucky. And it's like, well, actually, you created that luck, right? But you talked about it earlier, which is the harder I work, the luckier I got.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't get to CEO by accident. If you think there's a business of 100 people, there's only one CEO, right? So, and if you've worked your way up, that means that certain events have had to occur for you to get that position, ultimately, unless you've been hired in, you know, to that position. So it's like, and then, you know, after that, you've worked at it, you know, you've worked at it to, once you're no longer in that CEO position, you've worked at it to keep your financial free.
Yeah, and I guess the difference there is that I don't believe in luck. So I know it isn't luck, but I feel lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, so you feel privileged, don't you? It's like privilege and lucky. Lucky is a good term, I think. You know, you feel very lucky. It's like, you know, you get to do the things you want to do. I was out hiking with my dog this morning when, you know, 6 years ago I'd have been on a tram to Manchester at the same time. You know,
I do personally think that lucky circumstances happen.
Yeah.
But you have to take the action of, or the good action of what you're doing to get to that position for that lucky occurrence to happen is the way I look at it.
The other thing though is that you, there's that expression, isn't it? I'm not quite sure where this came from. You cut your cloth. So, you know, that whole point of protecting capital, you know, financial freedom isn't, I could go out and buy a Lamborghini for cash and spend 20 grand on a holiday tomorrow, but I don't need that. And that's not what gives me freedom. So, you know, financial freedom for me is about managing it to a lifestyle that I and my family are comfortable with. Because I know some people that could attain what I've got at the moment from a financial freedom point of view, but it wouldn't give them the lifestyle that they that they want or that they currently live.
Because their spending's too high, you mean? And
because they have a lifestyle here.
Yeah.
And, you know, they need it to be there because they've got a big house, they've got a big mortgage.
Yeah.
They go on really, really expensive holidays. You know, they want a Rolex watch every 2 or 3 years. Their absolute mission is a £2 million villa in Ibiza. So, you know, they've got to really, really work hard for the next 5 years to give them that.
Is their lifestyle creep with them as well? So even if they earn more, they spend more again, and they spend more again, and they keep going.
And I think, you know, I think this anyway, there's two people in life, there's spenders and savers. There's people that whatever you give them, they will spend.
And you've met Nick.
And a little, and a little bit more. You know, I remember when the company I worked for sold in the first instance, and, you know, some of the shareholders got a few quid, and a couple of them that I was mates with got a bigger payout, you know, a couple of £100,000. Oh, what are you going to do with the £200,000? And he said, I'm going to pay off my debts because I've got 70 grand on a credit card, pay a bit of tax, I'm going to buy a Porsche. And that's it. The 200 grand's gone.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a different cloth to me. Because I've got no money on credit cards.
There's two ways in there to live financially free. One is to earn more money through assets, and the other one is to decrease your spending to the point where you don't need to work, right?
Yeah.
And trying to find that commercial balance is a really key thing, I think.
Well, you know, I advise businesses, and profit is the lifeblood of a business.
Yeah.
And to make profit, you don't just have to sell more, because the other way to make profit is to cut your cost base. Because in certain markets, in certain circumstances, you can't sell more. So you therefore, to make profit and to keep the blood flow of the business, then the only other choice you've got is to reduce your outgoings.
It's the same with your life. You treat your life like a business.
That's you know what, that's exactly.
Yeah, it's money in and money out.
I treat my life like a business.
That's just how it is.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think further to your point before, I think there's spenders, there's savers, there's investors, and it's just moving up the layer, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not forgetting as well that if you go down one road too hard, you're gonna kill the other roads. If you're trying to invest in stuff and then you decide on 10 holidays in the year, then you're not going to have the money to invest, are you? It's like that's that simple,
and that's it. You can't have everything, and it doesn't just happen.
There's a really great phrase which is you can have anything that you want, but you can't have everything that you want.
Yes,
yeah.
Right, which is I don't know who came up with that, but it's a great phrase that.
I think you came up with that, didn't you?
Yeah, just then. Yeah, just now. Yeah.
No. I think it relates a little bit back to focus, doesn't it? If you try to go after too many things, you don't get the one key thing. Or it's chasing too many rabbits and those sort of terms.
You can, and that is so true. Yeah. You can have anything you want, but you can't have
everything.
Yeah. I'm sure some people can, but then they're not happy in life, are they? Generally. You watch the documentaries on billionaires, and they're all miserable. It's about the journey, not the triumph.
Well, there's always a sacrifice and a trade-off to what you go after, isn't it? So that's some of these billionaires. A lot of them have real family problems. They've had loads of divorces and all these sort of things. When you look at their personal life, and it's like, they've just traded off their family personal life to build that business empire.
Well, we talk about struggle, don't we? And taking that as a it's about the struggle. Like we're built to struggle, and struggle with a purpose creates that feeling of living. But struggling with no purpose feels off the opposite. That feels like you're almost dying. And if you've got everything and you inherit everything. I mean, Jimmy Carr says it really well. He says, you show me a trust fund kid and I'll show you the most unhappy person on earth. Yeah, because he's not on purpose. He doesn't have to do anything. So it's not, and I think the founder of the Olympics actually said that. It says it's not about the triumph, it's about the journey. It's and that's where you find your happiness, really. Cool. All right. So question 3, we're talking about financial freedom and we're going to talk about strategies. So I know you've got your consultancy business, and which we'll talk about, and then other strategies, but talk about what things you've done to achieve this goal outside of the career, if you like. So what strategies are you employing to continue your freedom life?
And use today to achieve your financial freedom?
I think from an investment strategy point of view, I'll just say Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, for the people that have read it, will go, oh yeah. For the people that haven't read it, read it.
Yeah.
So, I advise, my business clients to read this book, because
this is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Robert
Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
Kiyosaki.
Yeah, by Robert. Yeah.
By Robert.
Yeah. And, I was advised to read that book just at the point where I was capitalizing my shares in the business.
Good timing. Yeah.
So honestly, it was perfect timing. And therefore, the analogy that stuck with me, other than you've got an opportunity here to create a legacy for your family. Whoa, that was a powerful statement. Oh yeah, you're right. And you're going to get a golden goose. Eat the eggs, don't eat the goose. Right? Okay. And read Rich Dad Poor Dad. So Rich Dad Poor Dad was all about making your money work for you. You don't work for money. Well, I like the sound of that. Because intrinsically, shouldn't say this as any clients listening, I'm quite lazy. Okay. So quick wins. This is why I was a good recruiter. Because I'd worked hard, but I'd worked very efficiently.
Yeah. I was going to say, don't call yourself lazy. You could just be efficient.
On getting quick wins.
Yeah.
So,
successful salespeople are inherently lazy.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, because they find the way to the best solution possible as fast as
there you go.
There's some massive research about this, that working out systems for big business, literally just get lazy people in the business and they will find the most efficient way to success or results.
Yeah, and of course, I'm not, if you asked anyone, is Thorpe lazy? Bloody hell, no, it's not. I think I am.
Yeah.
Because I know what else I could do.
Yeah.
if I wasn't lazy.
Yeah.
But making money from money, this is like alchemy, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
And suddenly, you understand now how the rich become rich, because they use their money to make money.
Yeah.
And when you haven't got any money, which is, how we spend most of our lives, not knowing any of this. But suddenly you get a bit of cash and you think...
And sorry, what age were you when you read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Well, it was however old my kids are. So it was 14 years ago. So how old was I then? I was just turning 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just turning 40.
Just imagine if you read that at, 18 or something like that.
So my investment strategy before that, because I'm a saver, not a spender, because I live in fear, okay?
Yeah.
So somebody said, open an ISA, and we've got an IFA at work. There we go, done. Because I couldn't think about buying property. I couldn't think about investment strategies.
Yeah.
Because I'm all consumed. In working in a business and in running a business.
And you've got to forgive yourself for that as well. And it's really when something happens, isn't it, that you actually get the time to then think, actually, I need to do something differently.
Yeah.
You need that time. And it's difficult when you're doing, because like you said, it's when you're running a big business and when especially in like a heavy person sales driven services business, but it's not got a product, you're not manufacturing anything, you are driven by the individual sat around you, right? So you've got to manage that business daily on a sales basis. You're taking it home, right? So 8 till 6 is the general, I'm at my desk for 8, I'm leaving at 6, hour travel either side, and then all of the thought processes. It's 60, 70 hours before you say boo to a goose, right? So you've got to forgive yourself that you haven't got the time to do anything else at that point. But when you get the time, which may happen.
Well, this is exactly what happened. Suddenly I'm not in that business and I don't have a job.
Yeah.
And I'd started my consultancy business. And, the first few years of my consultancy business, I was billing a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because I needed to. Okay. When I sold my shares and I started to use that money to make me money, and I only realized this as you do your accounts and you look back over it, I'm doing half the amount now I was doing 5 years ago. It's because I didn't need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole investment strategy on the principle there is planting those seeds with your capital, eating the interest and the money that makes, and protecting the goose and protecting the capital. And if ever I need to do something or spend something that is outside of my day-to-day living, it's money that I need to have made.
Yeah. In Rich Dad Poor Dad, there's obviously a lot about buying assets and assets that give you cash flow in your pocket at the same time. So what specifics have you used to...
So I've thought about this.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've kind of lumped, I guess, my assets into kind of 3 things, which is, and of course your own house isn't an asset, is it?
Well,
you've
just set everyone off now.
Whoa,
all the people without other assets and I go, yeah, it is.
Well, if it is, if you sell it and buy somewhere cheaper.
That's the big debate. Yeah. For me, if you use it as a vehicle to buy assets, it can be.
Yeah, fine.
If you're just buying the one, then it's very. I wouldn't really consider that an asset. If you just got.
If it's locked capital and you're going to die with the capital, then no.
Well,
assets pay for your life.
Rich Dad Poor Dad says that an asset is something that makes you money while you sleep.
Yeah,
doesn't. So it gives you somewhere to sleep, but it doesn't make you money while you sleep. But in terms of investment strategy and investment and asset classes almost. And again, part of this I did by, I'll say luck, because you do things because you think it's right. And then you look back and you go, well, actually, that's
quite a smart move.
That was quite a smart move.
Yeah.
So from a property class, we've got a bit of an income from HMOs. We've got what I think is a really good income from our single lets, which are houses that we bought, 10, 15 years ago that have all doubled in value.
Good growth.
That basically pays for our monthly, outgoings.
Yeah,
perfect.
Almost. And then I've got, loans and development finance that I loan to other property investors. So there's kind of, 3, they're all cash flow generators. Okay. Then I've got stock market assets. So obviously my pension. So I still put into my pension. I've got quite a big pension, okay? And I'm in property groups where people are, you don't want to be using St. James's Place. They're dead expensive, and you're linked to this and you're linked to that. Actually, that's my safe ground. And my IFA at St. James's Place is a mate, and it's a very good, safe investment for me. So I've got a pretty healthy pension, got a pretty healthy ISA in there, which was the one that I set up when I was working all those years ago. And then we've got a handful of shares that pay dividends. So there's kind of 2 or 3 other things. And then I guess then there's other. So there's my business, consulting business, which cash flows. particularly expenses. So the other rich dad, poor dad thing was have high expenses, because then less profit, less tax. So managing tax.
Yeah, so you can put a lot of expenses through that business waste.
Managing tax is an important aspect on the journey. So the business, we hold a bit of cash, not a huge amount. Again, for some people, it'd be a huge amount. Very appreciative of that. And crypto. So, I started buying bits of Bitcoin quite a few years ago. Naturally, I'm a gambler.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have a real range of assets there, from really low risk through to cash flow, through to a complete...
It's quite diverse you've got there, isn't it? Each spectrum.
Yeah.
And, I manage all those. So sometimes when, I've got to pay off a credit card and this has gone up, I'll take a bit of cash out there. But again, it's paying for the life, the money that I've made. So the goose is still intact for the time being.
Yeah.
But again, I'm fearful that it may not, it may fly away.
That fear will never go away, right? Yeah. You still wake up at 3 a.m. going, oh, what if everything goes wrong?
And I used to do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't many years ago when literally I had to have a word with myself and think, what is the worst case scenario?
We are wired that way though, aren't we? Because we, caveman times, we were living day to day and there was a lot of stress to survive. Whereas clearly you don't have that anymore, but you still think it because of your wiring.
Well, yeah, it's only over the last few years when I've just gone, actually, what am I worrying about?
Yeah.
Being an idiot. Stop worrying.
Or you think about the things that you're worrying about and you're like, if that was me 5 or 10 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever,
bite your arm off.
Yeah, you'd be like, are you kidding me? Future.
So one of the questions there was, where are you on your journey? Which is, I think, and I'm not so sure, I think I'm at the point now where I am completely financially free. And if I'm not, I'll work that out.
Yeah.
Because I'll either make more money or I'll cut my costs.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, because you could ramp up your business if you needed to, right?
Yeah.
But or you could ramp it down. It's up to you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah.
Stop the podcast now. This episode is sponsored by Property Filter. Property Filter is the #1 property tool for today's property professional. It brings in all the data points and sources from all the property portals and auction sites into one convenient place. Then you have the option to overlay all the clever strategies found in the Property Filter blueprint to find motivated sellers faster. Now, we use it on a daily basis. It saves us over 80% of our time when looking for properties. And if that sounds like something that you want in your lives, please go to register.property-filter.co.uk/PPB, which is the discount code for this podcast. You will get 2 weeks free and a discount on your first month. That's it from me. Back to the podcast. We talk about this quite regularly because we're interested in what different people at different points of their journey, their day-to-day life routines and that kind of stuff. So we are saying, well, I think I'm financially free at this point. So what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, I'm in the gym at 5. I pray between 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Then I have a smoothie with the kids.
Smoothie, yeah.
Meditation after.
Kale, hopefully.
And I go for full English.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a typical day. This is the beauty of being financially free, I guess.
Yeah.
I still work because I want to. So some days I'm up at 5:30. I'm on the train to London at 6:30.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy it and I want to. And my job is helping other people and helping other businesses. So from a purpose point of view,
you get good satisfaction and purpose out of doing that.
It's amazing. I've invested in a few businesses. So not only am I an advisor with those businesses, I'm also a shareholder.
And you've got really good insight, obviously, into those businesses. Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, a typical day.
Have you invested to sell in the future? Is that the plan with these businesses, or are you just investing in something you believe in and you'll see what happens?
Bit of both.
Right. Okay.
Bit of both.
Yeah.
And again, I've learned that you can have the best plans in the world, and not many of them happen. Again, I don't practice what I preach. I preach to my businesses. You need a plan. You need a journey. You need to map it out. You need to monetize it. You need to have it really, really specific. And then you'll ask me some of these questions. I don't know.
Yeah. But that's all right.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
I've come to terms with that. But I struggle to sit still. So I'm always busy. But I might be busy enjoying myself and playing golf or going out for a bike ride. So this week's work-wise pretty quiet week. Got an online board meeting tomorrow with you today. Last 2 days I've been out on my bike for a few hours. Played golf on Monday. It's amazing. Next week, half term away with the kids.
You're a good golfer.
I don't play enough.
Right. Because it's one of those games, isn't it? It's such a precision sport that you like the repetitions matter. Yeah.
I think like with anything, to some people, I'm the best golfer in the world because they've never played it.
Yeah.
Just, I know people that
Depends how you feel
play
about
off 2 or 3.
Those things was relevant, yeah.
So no, I'd never say I was good, but I enjoy it.
So on average, how many hours are you working in your consultancy type role or business a week? Roughly.
Do you know?
Week. It's probably about 2 days a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's probably a little bit more of the stuff that I do around it from a prep point of view, from a follow-up point of view.
Yeah.
From a and again, it's not work.
Yeah.
Really, how I would.
Yeah. When you really choose what you want to do and how you spend your time, it does not feel like your typical.
Sounds
job
like cheesy,
work,
doesn't it? But it
does. But I think it is true, isn't it? However you describe it.
So yeah, I think it's a very healthy balance.
Do you see yourself, because obviously you mentioned you've got a big pension. My math says if you were 14 years old,
I'm 53.
In a couple of years, you could probably draw from that, right?
I could do.
So, do you think about retirement? What does that mean?
I think I am retired.
Right. So
compared to what I used to do.
Yeah. I think I'm retired compared to what I used to do.
From an output point of view, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I even label it that I'm like semi-retired.
My sales list at 8 a.m.
Yeah,
like that. So get ready for the calls at 8:30.
From what I used to do. Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
I consider myself now, and even at the age of 40, when I was probably working maybe 3 days a week, maybe 4 days a week sometimes, I felt semi-retired then, because compared to what I used to do, it's an absolute breeze. Do I think about stopping all the work and, being retired and not doing anything from a business point of view? No.
I couldn't see you sitting still, to be honest.
I do have a bit of a dream.
I think you'd have a bit of a collapse.
I had a bit of a dream.
I'd have a collapse.
My life plan, our life plan was, rather than buy a property abroad, we'd spend the money to go traveling and stay in different places, but not for a weekend or for a week, but go to California for 3 months.
Yeah.
Go to Belgium, live in Holland for 3 months, rent an apartment.
Sounds like a bit of homeschooling to me.
Well, no, this is post 18.
Right.
Absolutely not a chance with the kids. Whereas actually, probably more recently, buying somewhere in Portugal, going over there for 3-4 months of the year, playing some more golf, getting a bit more serious about golf is something that I'm thinking about more. But for me, whether it's work or managing my investments, that business element.
Yep.
I'll never stop that.
It's purposeful.
I like it.
Yeah, it's purposeful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So no, I'll never kind of fully retire as such. Maybe one day.
So question 5, success and failures. What are you most proud of in your journey to date? And what do you feel was the biggest challenge for you? And it doesn't necessarily have to be now. It could be like work, leaving that position, that kind of thing. What's the most success and what's your biggest, do you think, not failure necessarily, but learning point?
I'm trying to process your questions there because you've asked 2 at once.
All right, let me start.
I find it difficult with one question at a time. Right.
So what's your greatest success and what's your greatest failure?
My greatest success, quite clearly, is my family and the kids that we're bringing up. From a business point of view, I never saw it at the time, but reflecting back now, is getting up to that job then that you just talked about and being the CEO of a company that I was proud to work for, and being in a position that when it sold, I was given a golden goose. I'm pretty hard on myself, so the whole imposter syndrome and stuff is right here.
Yeah.
So I never look at myself and think how good I am.
Yeah.
Not once. I always think how bad I am, because I know what I could achieve if I put my mind to it. I'm nowhere near it.
Very common with most of our guests, isn't it? We've heard this a lot now.
Well, I've come to terms with being a 6.5 out of 10. I'm being quite happy with that.
You can't, like, when people listen to this, you can't say you're 6.5 out of 10.
In my own...
It's your own rating.
Your personal rating, intrinsic.
But I know what I could do.
Yeah. On a daily basis.
And bloody hell.
Yeah.
I say 6.5. It's way lower than that. I'm doing myself a favour there.
Yeah. You bumped it up just for this purpose.
So that those achievements not investing in Bitcoin. I didn't invent Bitcoin. Not reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. Somebody told me to do that. So, the successes that I'm most proud of are the things that I've worked for myself and now that I shape. And what was the other one? Failure.
Yeah.
I've never had any.
Can I just comment on this from an interesting perspective? Because basically you're saying that the things that Rich Dad tells you not to do, which is like basically trade time for money and stuff like that, is sort of what you're saying is your biggest successes in a way. And then the things that Rich Dad says, invest in this and invest in that, you're saying you didn't get as much.
It wasn't his career.
Because it was, because I've only been able to do that because I earned the money.
Yeah.
Through the career that's given.
Right. So the success was,
opportunity.
Getting to that point that you could get to the pinnacle that then you could use the learnings from Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah. And you talk then about the slog, and we would feel emotionally that slog was worth it.
Yeah.
Whereas buying my first house as an investment property, which was my brother-in-law's, and we gave him half the amount of money as he moved on to another house, wasn't a success. The reason I could do that was because I built up some money because of the career that I had that I was working towards.
Did you when you turned it off from the CEO? How long did it take you to unwind? Because
I don't think I have.
Yeah, and in a way,
when you say unwind,
do you know, like, because you've got the same fears as me, which is fear of failure and imposter syndrome, that kind of. You kind of miss the mayhem. I found, like, you don't admit it to anybody really, but that purpose that gives you that purpose, and you protect by being that busy and by moving forward, it protects somewhat of that fear, and it protects against that imposter syndrome because you're continually moving forward. When you take a step back, it's a bit like everything comes to the front of your mind, like everything that could.
Let me tell you why that didn't happen.
All right.
Because within a month of me leaving that business and not being a CEO, I was a dad to twins.
Oh, there you go. Right.
So suddenly that noise and that mayhem was replaced.
Yeah.
And, I had 4 weeks of freedom.
Right.
Joined the gym at the hotel.
Yeah, nice.
Went for a nice little bit of a swim and a sauna and, maybe lifted half a weight and, went out for coffee and, lived the dream. And then suddenly that mayhem is replaced.
It's replaced with something else.
Obviously more mayhem for mum rather than dad.
Yeah.
But the noise was quickly replaced.
Nah, mum's got it easy. We're about Lara's in the room as well, so I'm not going to say look at when I say that. Now I don't know how to do it. I'll be honest. I just think it's a massive thing.
I'll tell you about the failures, and from an investment point of view, from the failures, loads of business failures, obviously.
Yeah.
From an investment point of view, in terms of failures, I've invested in a handful of businesses that have failed, and it's not necessarily my fault that they'd failed, but it was my responsibility that I'd put money in to these businesses that had failed. And there's probably a common theme between them all, which is a bit of greed, a massive assumption that it will go well because it's gone well in the past, so it'll go well in the future, and not enough probably due diligence up front in terms of, is this business actually going to work? And, I was looking for reasons for the business to succeed. So I probably didn't get under the hood of it enough. So therefore, put money in. And
sometimes things just look amazing, and it's you're like, oh, I can really make some money really quickly here or whatever. But then, like, you've talked about the stuff like your properties that have doubled whatever in 10 or 15 years. And it's like, it's hard to see that far into the future, but actually are they the sort of best investments because it's got that long-term solid, backing to it. And it's consistently been proved to be the case in a way.
Yeah. And it's slow and steady wins the race. And there's no quick rich scheme.
Yeah.
And I've put money into businesses and, on the assumption that in 10 years time, this business will sell for 10 million quid. I'll make £500,000.
Yeah.
And, I look at all the reasons why that will happen. And what actually I need to look at is the reasons why it won't happen.
Yeah.
And it didn't. So,
well, you were involved with the company that I had to put in liquidation, right? So, which was...
I wasn't even thinking of that one. That was...
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
That probably fits the bill, yeah.
That fits the bill really well, which is we all entered into something which we thought was going to be quite lucrative at the time. But then when you looked at it, and even with the due diligence that was done, you look at it and you think, well, it becomes reliant upon the whole supply chain.
Yeah, certain individuals and
the supply chain working well, everything working well, and that kind of stuff. And it's a risk that you take, but it's a risk. Like, 'cause I've got quite a lot of diverse. I do a lot of EIS and SCIS as well, startup stuff, and it is about a 50% failure rate, right? And normally it's not because of necessarily the individual that runs the business or the business itself. It's normally something that you could have probably predicted in the market that it's entering into, but at the time you've read the brochure and you've looked at the due diligence packs and that kind of stuff, and you think, actually, yeah, there's a good chance of this making it. And sometimes I think, like, you've got to give yourself some peace with that as well. That actually at the time, I don't think you could have, like, if you go back and say, oh, with all those things today and not knowing what the outcome was, would you still have done that?
I think maybe
the answer is yes. Then
maybe the key with what we're talking about here, they're what I would consider all speculative investments in a way. So
it's the top end, isn't it?
Yeah, like if it comes off, you make some good money. There's a certain risk level, and it's just going like, right, how much can I put into that? That if it comes off, great. If it doesn't,
especially when you're thinking about it's a sale of a business, because that's different again, isn't it? You are reliant upon that business selling.
Yeah.
So that business has to be A, profitable, B, systemized, C, not director-led, D, all of these things combined.
There's not many businesses that sell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not many businesses that sell. So if that's the only strategy that you've got, then it's a challenging one. Well, again, from my motivation of fear and the protection of the goose, like you've just said there, Tim, I would never ever gamble any money in that top end risk element that I can't afford to lose.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it?
So as much as it stings to lose money, it's the last thing that I want to do.
And there's always big learnings, like you say as well, which it's costly learnings.
So my guy who's my IFA, when I've lost money in a couple of ventures and I've gone to meet him, he's like, how did that investment go that you were really keen about?
Yeah. It didn't work out.
I have to say I've lost quite a lot of money in that. And I'm waiting for him to have a go at me. He says, yeah, but if you put that into everything else that you've done and put it into context, that's not the end of the world, is it?
Yeah, you're way up.
Because I was more worried about his opinion of me rather than the fact that I'd just lost, 6 figures.
Absolutely. and I go back to that sort of that EIS and SCIS part, because that's when you're investing in really new startups, and that's the high risk area, right? And because most businesses fail in the first 2 years. So even with that 50% failure rate of those businesses, because it's so diverse that money I'm in, I'm up. Way up on the 50 that have made it.
Oh yeah, I put some money into a managed EIS fund with Octopus, and of course it was tax efficient. And within the first year, so you didn't get the tax benefit if something sold in the first year, but as part of the fund, I think my 500 quid had gone into the business, and it had sold to Twitter within the first year of being under the investment. And from that 500 quid, I got 7.5 grand. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. Wasn't it?
So then I thought, everything else is going to go like that.
Yeah.
10 years later,
it's the only one.
10 years, there's been a couple that weren't quite that high.
Yeah.
10 years later, I've still got quite a few grand in this account that I can't get to because they can't sell the shares because they're not worth anything near where they were. But in the whole of the roundabout, I've made money on it and I had a tax saving on it, so I can accept that.
I think the key is like your optimism and the risks that you took have overall resulted in that really big positive effect and the growth in your wealth and portfolio and everything like that. And I think it's like your IFA was saying is like, if you didn't do that, you're stuck in that saver category. You're too worried to do anything that you do nothing. And obviously your money's just getting eroded by inflation.
One of the big things that I learned.
Inflation is spending.
Yeah.
When it's in your bank, it's hard to not look at it, isn't it?
One of the big learns from the risky point of view was the whole crypto stuff.
Yeah.
So, crypto, what was it, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, was on the boom.
Yeah.
And a couple of mates of me saying, get out. It's going to crash, get out. And I was thinking about putting some more in because I'm greedy and lazy. Oops.
Yeah.
Efficient.
But I didn't put any more in. Thank God I didn't, because literally within a week it had crashed.
Oh, this is another coin, not Bitcoin.
It was Bitcoin, yeah.
Ah, right. It went down, yeah.
And it had crashed. I was like, why didn't I get out? But I held, because this is like property. Hold it and hold it and hold it and hold it. So I held it, and 4 years later, it was worth more than it was worth at the top end. So then I took my stake out, and now
Just the profit.
And now I've just got profit in it.
It's so smart, right?
Yeah,
it's so smart because then it's no longer.
So I learned that through not doing it the first time, because that's how we learn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, take your actual initial stake back out.
I learned through pain.
And then put that into something that
So good. Yeah.
maybe more secure. Yeah.
So now then, that's that. If it crashes, it's not the end of the world for me, but it's a good position to be in.
Yeah. Great bit of advice.
Lovely. Right. So last question for you then. What is the best piece of advice you've been given?
I think that falls into two categories: almost the best advice and the worst advice. So the best advice was read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Because the timing of that was absolutely brilliant. For me personally, some of the best advice I've got has been bad advice that I've not followed, but it's made me think. So I'll give you an example. When I moved to London, both my parents said, "Don't move to London. It's too risky. You've got a really good safe job there. Don't move." Thanks for your advice. Let me just think about that.
Yeah.
Right, you're wrong. I'm gonna go and do it. But it made me think twice. Ironically, when we moved back from London, they said, "Don't move back from London. You're on a brilliant you should stay there."
Yeah.
To be honest, your advice is exactly what my parents said to me when I was leaving Australia. So,
and then even
don't do this, don't do that. And it's just it's and you go through life, don't you? And I imagine you're similar to we are, which is it's circle of friends and it's family. And the only one that you can't choose is the one on the right. So they give you bad advice. The circle of friends thing as well, I find as well, that evolves over time.
Yeah.
Because the friends that you have in your 20s are not necessarily the friends that you have in your 40s, because you surround yourself with people.
Mine are.
Oh, they are? Yeah. Oh, well done. So
most of my friends are still my mates from school.
Are they?
So that's
good. I love that.
So we have very different profiles in our group of friends. And one of the other bits of advice, which was really good, was, why don't you sell all your properties, because it's a hassle, and basically, if they've all doubled in value, sell them all. Then you've got a load of cash then that you can live off. Well, okay, this guy's not an idiot. I like this guy. I respect him. Thought, it's the worst advice I've ever been given.
Yeah,
because if I've got 5 properties that I bought, let's say, at 100 grand each, and they're now worth 200 grand each, so sell them all. I get £500,000. Amazing. Pay tax on that £500,000 quid.
Yeah.
And then what do I do then? I spend,
and then you stop getting that cash flow from the rental.
20-30 grand of that a year for the next 15 years and hope that I die before the cash runs out.
Yeah.
Or actually, if I
hope that I die before the cash runs out.
Or do I keep the properties that are going to go up in value?
Just imagine that moment when you're still alive. Cash has gone out. But I was expecting to be dead now.
I've been dead. I've been drinking, eating crap. I've been exercising,
smoking, and all sorts.
Whatever.
So, or keep the properties that in 10 years' time will have doubled in value again.
Yeah.
And they've paid for my life.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can see where the advice is coming from.
Yeah.
But from an investor point of view, which again, that's where you kind of realize you get a little bit of a light bulb moment, which is, I think I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
At least more so than I used to think.
Did you hand him a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad?
No,
to come back later.
No,
yeah.
but
the difficulty is you can't influence people that have been around with you that length of time as well. I don't think the people who are long-term friends. I don't think you can influence them in the same way. Same as you can influence your family in the same way.
My long-term fans are my family.
Yeah,
effectively, because I've known them for so long.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I don't think you can.
It's difficult, yeah,
because you're doing something that's so alien necessarily to perhaps other people are doing that. It's best sometimes just not to talk about it. And I find that it's best just to go, whatever you say.
Unfortunately, I find
let's move on.
There's a bit of jealousy that builds in as well. Like, it's not talked about, but there is in friendship circles and family and stuff like that. So that unfortunately comes in as well, especially if you're doing something that's making a lot of money or you're really successful or whatever.
And you don't have to, and I guess because, we do a lot of PR because our business, our actual core business that we use to generate profit to invest into assets is a sales business. It needs a sales funnel, right?
Yeah.
So we shout about it, but you kind of had that time, you had the golden goose, and then you just protect that. So you don't need to PR it as much as we do. So probably it's not as open to people's knowledge what you actually do.
That's why I
This is
didn't want to come on the podcast.
This will be you'll be mates for rigging. You go now going, I'm not mates anymore.
All right.
Yeah. See you later. No, good stuff.
You are going to promote it on your social channels, aren't
Did we
you?
get pieces of advice? We got the Rich Dad Poor Dad. What was the other one?
The best advice was the advice that I didn't take.
Oh yeah, the advice that you didn't take.
Yeah.
About selling it.
And then that realization that that's not good.
So the best advice was the worst advice.
Yeah. Don't
for
do
me
that.
personally.
Move forwards anyway. Right. Yeah, good stuff. Right. So that's it. The grilling's over. Big breath. Well done. Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on. And what we give this opportunity now to the guest to ask us a question.
Okay.
We ask you to prepare it. So not that we're going off scripts again or anything like that. What is the question you would like to ask?
The question I would like to ask, I was going to go left field and give you something completely out of the blue.
No, you can do. You can do, absolutely.
But no, I think that
No, don't do that to Tim.
I think what I was thinking about when I was asked to think about it was, we talked about it a little bit before. It was that legacy planning, and from managing your, what a privileged position to be in, managing your assets in terms of what that looks like to pass down to the next generation and to your kids, and start thinking about that now and asking you guys what you were doing about that. So that's my question.
It's a good question, That's a really good question. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I can go first. Yeah. So I think with my kids, obviously got two young ones, 2 and 4, or almost 2. And I do want to build a legacy to pass down to them, but I don't think that's the most important thing that I want to pass down to them, and not necessarily directly for me. So in essence, we've got portfolios, and there's certain types of properties and assets I want to keep for the long term to pass down as assets. And that's generally your more passive ones that are wealth building, that, let's say they're things like single lets, commercial properties, things like that,
blocks of flats,
that
kind of thing,
etc. And that's the legacy portfolio in a way. But then the thing that I really want to know how to pass down is like the knowledge. So whether it's knowledge from me, but as you know, kids don't listen to their parents that well. Is it getting other influences in their life that can help with that knowledge? Is it leading by example to show like this is what we're doing and how that's achieved, and this is the business we do, this is the property that we do, the investments do, and the reasons why we do it. So I think passing down that knowledge, whether it's via me or by other people and other influences and things like that, is probably in combination with the actual legacy assets is the most important thing that I want to try and pass down. Mine's
a little bit left. Well, it's quite always left field, I think, about these things. So the question I always ask myself is, and I ask other people, is when they talk about legacy, is, do you know your grandparents' parents' names? No. Do you? What's your grandparents' parents' names?
It's relatively easy for me on both sides because 2 of them have the same name as my grandfather.
Okay, there you go. Right, so
sorry, David Mildred.
Yeah, David Mildred. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. It's like, what does legacy mean, right? Because
I'm thinking purely cash and assets, not
So
not my imprint on the earth from a
yeah. But if you think about cash and assets, you think about things like how trusts work and things like that, as an example. So if you have a family office and a family trust, generally somebody started that at some point, and then all of the family can benefit from that trust. And then that is a real legacy that they can do. And you can actually set rules and regulations around that trust, which is very interesting, that I'm reading into at the minute. So, and because the trust will build over time, so it's a bit like protecting the golden goose, right? You've got to protect the goose of the trust in some way, and then people can use it. So my children will be able to hopefully use it in some way. Their children will be able to use it, and it should grow over time. So that the children's children, so, but then it's about what is the legacy. So what I don't want to do is create something that in the future damages the individual, because similar to the Jimmy Carr thing I talked about earlier, which was, trust fund kid.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So mine is,
entitlement is a dirty word in my. I
don't want to create that. So, and there's certain things that you can do, right? So you can set rules. You can say, I'm the founder, and they're the founder. Around the rules are that you have to do X, Y, and Z.
Have a job.
So, exactly.
Earn money.
Exactly.
With the trust, is it?
Yeah. So if you want to draw down from the trust, you can do. And it's
I'm not sure my trust would be big enough that they didn't have to work.
Yeah, but not today. I'm sure back in the day, some of these trusts didn't as well. But
fair point.
And it's the whole, do you know your grandparents' names? I mean, the reality is we are 3 generations away from being forgotten ultimately. As an and that's something quite nice about that.
Oh yeah, that doesn't bother me in the slightest.
But at the same time, if you can leave a legacy for your children, as well as knowledge, as well as experience, as well as teaching them, then perhaps they can add to that legacy, and then in the future that legacy becomes something really, really important, maybe even philanthropic. That you can sit back and go, well, because we're investors, I'm investing that time into this thing now. It's a tree that I'm planting that I might not see bloom, but that's great, right? That's something that you can leave and have something for the very future. So that's the kind of thing that I'm thinking about as a practical perspective.
I think from a almost from a compound interest point of view, my IFA told me this recently. If something's growing at even 5-6%, it only takes 8 to 10 years for it to double in value.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So from a long-term point of view, then that's
it's much more about time than it is the.
But there is certain things like, do I want my son and daughter to own a lot of HMOs? No, I'm probably going to leverage those assets out and sell them for profit in the future. That'll put it back into other stuff that I can, pass down, like commercial and industrial shit.
Yeah, my thought is rather than leaving them a reasonable pot of cash. From a single point of view, is leaving them a business and leaving them an asset that cash flows.
Yes,
that then gives them some freedom and some
exactly,
and some options.
And obviously, over time, you can reduce leverage, and at some point, you can have an unencumbered set of assets, which then is true. That's true value.
That's what I'm thinking in my in my head. But of course, not. I think by that point. The other point will be to have, they're not going to get all the golden goose. I'm going to at least want to eat a leg and a wing.
Yeah.
What that looks like in the future, I'm not sure.
Still to be worked out, isn't it?
Yeah, 10 years from today, if I said to my son and daughter, right, you can now draw down from the stuff that I've created, but I'd want you to do something for that. It's not trading time for money necessarily, because it's not equally.
It's not just a gift. It's
but you have to then go and volunteer, or you have to contribute in some way. in some way, I think that
the other thing to understand is, like, we all know the advice, or we talk about the advice from, say, our parents and grandparents is different to what we think is right, and that's going to happen to us at some point. That the things that
we're in at some point.
Oh yeah, we're wrong. We will be wrong again,
because the world moves and evolves, doesn't it? And they see it differently, and they've grown up in a different time, and all these sort of things. So it's maybe just acknowledging that, and teaching them that you do just have to move with the times.
The point, the trust fund with some rules around it is interesting. Because again, the last thing on this planet I want is entitled young adults and children. Exactly, that will not happen. But it's a first world problem, isn't it?
Yeah, because the circumstances.
Well, there's one actually that there's a family office. I won't name it, but I know that you have to have done at least 2 years military service to access that trust fund, as an example.
That's not a rule I'd put in.
But it isn't. But do you know what I mean?
I get it.
It's an example.
I get it. Yeah.
Similar to the royal family having to do military service. Yeah. Before they become senior royals, they have to have done X amount of.
Because
of the public service. So there's things like that. I mean, obviously, I don't think the military might be the one, but it's those kind of things.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I know because we're talking such small acorns today in comparison to the wider world. But what does that look like if you compound it on over 100 years?
Yeah.
All good. Well, thank you very much. That was really great. Really enjoyed that, and so thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm really happy I pinned you down and got you to shows.
Gave you some City tickets and City United tickets at the Etihad, and I know you agreed to a podcast. There you go. That's how you do it. Leverage. That's what we call leverage.
It's all about leverage.
Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us again on the Financial Freedom Podcast. I hope you enjoyed that one and you take something from it. And we will catch you.
If you like this episode or all our other episodes and you have not subscribed,
please subscribe
and follow.
Like, subscribe, or follow, right?
Yeah, whatever platform you're on.
Yeah, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now. Thank you once again for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast, sponsored by us at Property Portfolio Building. If you want to get in touch with us about today's podcast or any of the learning topics that we've gone through today, you can email us at podcast@invest-prop.co.uk or get in touch with us with whichever your social media platform of choice is. If you think you would add value to us as a guest on this podcast, you can please get in touch and let us know what you would be able to talk to us about. Other than that, we wish you well on your financial freedom journeys. And once again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.